and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Universal Lens. The Universal Lens.
It's
and
everywhere.
Back from wherever the hell he was. Henry Beltra.
You don't know this, but I was here last week too.
Yeah, I know. We kind of screwed an episode up, so we're doing it again. Obviously, my audio, I don't know, didn't work for some reason.
What did you do to that engineer? Who
I fired his ass.
did you?
Yes.
Bro.
It was funny. We were just guests on Think, Live, Repeat. John Skomsky's. He was a guest of ours. We were on his show before, and he had a story. It was funny. He actually said that he recorded an episode yesterday. He goes, my audio didn't work. So this is either a Riverside FM issue, which is the hosting platform that we use, because it's happened to me once or twice, or this is just user error, which can very well be user error, because I am not learned in this very well.
Well,
I'm not an audio tech.
I mean, you've come a long way.
Yes, I mean I put fancy lights up and stuff like that, but
Because Lord knows, don't let me at that thing.
yeah, those are fancy. Is that too bright?
It's the same setting we had for John, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do things on the fly here.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
This is behind the scenes, BTS. No? Yeah, behind.
That's good, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. No, we had a little bit brighter for John, but it's okay.
You know, I enjoy letting people behind the scenes.
All right, Arnold. Get out of the chopper.
Get in the chopper.
That's a State Farm commercial.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Neighbor.
Chopper, neighbor.
Like
Burr, bah, burr, bah.
Like a good neighbor. Chopper.
We just had an episode. We're a little fried right now. So bear with us.
I had espresso. You had a
A
cookie.
cookie. Yes, a cookie. Cookies are good.
And we're trying to regroup.
Yes, we're trying to regroup and to
I gotta say, it was a great episode. Great recording we did with John.
Yeah, it was
I
fun.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
yeah.
So, John, if you're tuning in to this one, excellent, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for having us on.
Job well done. Really. I mean, I don't know if I like you deflated.
Me? I'm not deflated. I'm just I told him before we started this one, I go, I feel like I hit a wall all of a sudden. I'm like, holy crap, man. And I had caffeine before, so I don't need any more, that's for sure.
We gotta clue these people in as to what we did last week. Last week,
I don't wait, hold on. What did we do this week?
well, last week was a special week that
Yes.
I had my stuff going on, and then it dovetailed into your stuff going on. Your daughter, she was your daughter went through some stuff, you know, had some medical emergencies.
Sorry, I put my head under the table for a second to fix something.
That's why I had to stay quiet.
Yes, yeah. My daughter last week was in the hospital for about a week and a half, in and out. Twice, unfortunately, which ended up being kidney stones, but we didn't know what the hell was going on for a while.
Right.
They found something else, which, thank God, ended up being nothing. But it was a whirlwind of a week where there was very little sleep and a lot of hectic moving parts.
But it's good that it was nothing. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good there was nothing. She's young and
Yeah, she's back to her normal bitchy self, loving self. But so she's back.
she's young and resilient.
Yeah, she's young and resilient.
And that's a good thing. But it kind of the religious aspect to
Oh yeah, that's where you're going with this.
the religious.
I'm sorry, I gotta fix my chair.
Go ahead. Yeah, why'd you go fidget with everything?
Swear to God, I swear. If there was I never took it. I'm sure there's an ADHD test or ADD test. I'm on that spectrum also, I'm sure.
But this is like we spoke.
But I
about.
guess it's still for a while.
No, this is like we spoke about with John just a few minutes ago, where when you think that you're the only one going through it, everybody's got a little ADHD. In
No, yeah. No, for me, I don't have anybody who does audio tech shit for me. I got to do this all the time.
Well,
I need a guy who's going to come around and go, Mr. Emilio, in 3, 2, 1.
well, I mean, we're gonna have an add-on, right?
Oh yes, because that episode didn't happen. So everything we spoke about, kind of yes, we're so the goal is to be adding a third wheel onto our show. You had him, you saw him a couple of weeks ago, when Henry was the week that Henry couldn't make it, and I was away then that same week, so just we couldn't hook up. So not to get a show out and not to go too long without a show, I had my buddy Anthony sit in, Anthony Lisi. So everybody saw that episode. It posted. Actually did very well. So in speaking with Henry, we decided, why not add a third wheel? Because he's kind of, personality-wise, he fits.
I should have practiced this before, but I do a good Vito Corleone. Hold on. The family gets bigger. It doesn't get smaller.
He got walnuts in his cheeks.
Okay, see it?
That's the face wise. That's pretty good.
It's kind of like you're in pain.
Yeah. And Marlon Brando know how to do that for like
What they did to my boy. Yeah, so
Sunny at the Causeway. That's
Yeah.
the scene.
so the family gets bigger.
Yeah, so we're gonna invite Anthony on as a host, but that's gonna entail some renovation work on my end where this has to, because we are not three petite men. Not that but we're not like skinny little guys. We are men of
Burly.
yes.
There's so much
So
testosterone.
squeezing Anthony in here would not go well.
Our knees were touched.
Our knees would touch. So I'm going to be moving the studio over anyway to another spot in my basement. I have to figure out what I'm going to do for a backdrop and all that stuff. And then we're going to have bring Anthony on, and we'll have 3 people, different setup. So the show's going to get bigger, a little bit better. That as far as that goes, probably will get entertainment wise, it's going to notch up a little bit because there's a lot of personalities now in the show.
I think you're going to want to tune in because you're going to want to see how
it works. But the content, I will always promise you, is based on this.
Right.
Like I won't. This is where I'm like, and Henry is too.
What you draw the line.
I draw the line. Like the content is the content. Our content is based in mindfulness, awareness, presence, spirituality, psychology, the mind, how it works, all that stuff, and helping people who are suffering with stuff kind of find the path out. So that won't change, but there will be, like I said, added.
And I can't tell you,
personality.
When you're on this side of things and you see other shows and you see other things happening, and then you look at the numbers for your show and you wonder, well, we don't.
My show sucks, bro.
No.
I mean, my show, our show.
No. But I'm not saying that. But you compare and you say, well, what are they doing? Well, a lot of the topics and a lot of the things out there, like I always said, I said it to you. If I put a big fat ass with a thong, believe me, or
I'd watch,
right? So if we sat here talking about politics, they're in. So it's not a subject that's going to be for the.
This subject is for intelligent people.
I like where you're going with that.
It's for intelligent people. Well, I don't mean IQ intelligence. I mean, with wise people who think with a higher level of intelligence,
right?
Not with the thinking mind. This is that. That's for that. And I even hate to say those. It's for everybody, but that is the group of people who tend to enjoy this content more because it's something that resonates with them. So,
right. One of the things we spoke.
If you're a CNBC junkie.
Well, one of the things we spoke about with John was how people are afraid to talk about their feelings. People are afraid to just come out with saying, I suffer from this, or I think I have this, or what, I'm feeling this. Most people just button up and they go through life going, just bumble until you explode.
Until you explode.
And, maybe there's this diffusion that can happen where you see a show like this and you go, you know what? Yeah, I have anxiety too, because a lot of people have anxiety. A lot of people experience anxiety. A lot of people.
I was waiting.
I got this. I got this. You got to. There's something. You know what? I'm going to time out here. In persuasion. You ever heard me talk about persuasion?
Yeah.
From Scott Adams?
Yeah.
There's a technique called pace and lead. I can't lead you until I pace you, because we're on the same level.
Yeah.
But once I talk about I have anxiety, and then now that I got your attention. Now you go, experience. Because I'm a trained professional at this point. I'm a consummate professional.
Big word.
Got that? Anyway, so when you see a show like this, you're going to relate, and some things might stick. And then you're going to also enjoy the delivery, which is something where we're working on. So we're not professional broadcasters. We don't do this for a living.
WNBC.
WNBC. No, we don't do this for a living. We do this out of joy and passion.
I can, if anybody out there is interested, just say I'm taking calls.
Right. We're available.
We're available.
Yeah, but no casting couches. Huh? Like that?
No.
Well, you never know. For the right price.
Oh my gosh.
For the right price,
All right, whatever works,
but
bro. No judgment.
A female casting.
No judgment here. This is a judgment. It's like Planet Fitness. This is a judgment-free zone.
That's right. That's right. No
So
tough
what
guys.
are we doing today?
We were talking about how you went through a little situation there with your daughter, and stress level rises, and all sorts of thoughts go through your mind, right? Because
You ain't kidding.
in the beginning, the unknown is scary. And when you are unknown, you try to fill in the blanks yourself. And when you do that, you don't do yourself any favors.
No.
Because you're thinking the worst, right? You're
Absolutely.
thinking, "Oh my God, it could be this, it could be that." Stop it. It's just not stop it. I mean, you really have,
no. You don't know. So the mind takes over. So I became. This is funny.
No, I don't think you became it.
I became. You ever hear the expression? People when they go through a difficult time, they go, "I found God." I never lost God. I've always been Catholic, right? That's my upbringing. And we've always spoken about on the show, God and universe, how they're interchangeable words, right?
We do it.
And I always try to make that point to make my Roman Catholic Christian friends and family members understand something. It's a word that interchanges depending on your relationship with that word. Language, we've learned. Certain words we feel more connected to, and that might give you a stronger connection to this divine presence, right? I call it the universe. At times I call it God. Eckhart Tolle calls it God in the universe. Like in a sentence, he will flip-flop. Like in the same, like while he's talking, he will say, God, and then 20 seconds later, use the word universe. So just to show that they're two in one in the same, however you want to look at it. But I found I rediscovered the usage of the word God a little bit more last week. And I realized something when I was doing it. And people are going to go, you see, you're going through a hard time, so you went back to God. I said, and I tried to explain, I never left God. I might have left the box. Religion thing, I didn't leave God, right? Because for me, God and the universe are the same thing. So I realized something last week when I was, as I was going through something, I kind of went to something that was always comfortable for me to do when I was in a difficult time. And that was to talk to this higher presence, right? Might be a deceased. Like I had a grandfather who passed away when I was like 12, when he was the first real person I lost in my life. So I've always felt and looked at him as my guardian angel. Like I've always felt when I was through a difficult time and I spoke to him, something would work. I don't want to say work out because things don't always work out in your favor in life, but a feeling of you're not alone would always come over me, and somehow things would just navigate through and I'd end up on the other side, whatever the other side was, right? So this week when it happened, kind of the same thing happened. I started praying to, I was kind of talking to my grandfather again, asking him for guidance, helping him, please, whatever's happened to my daughter, let it be nothing, or just give us strength to get through this, blah, 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 blah. And then I started asking, I started using the word God. And as I'm doing it and I'm praying, I started realizing something. I'm like, so when I would use the word universe, or when I would meditate and try to manifest something, I would be asking the universe for this one particular thing, or these particular things, or this event, or this guidance that I was looking for, whatever it might be. I'm like, all right, when I'm praying, and I'm going to use the word praying because when you're talking to God, or, that's what you would consider it, right? You don't meditate to God, you pray to God and you meditate with the universe. It's language. All is language, but that's how they pair up those words. So I was praying, and as I was praying to God, I'm realizing something. I was like, I'm trying to manifest a certain outcome here, and I'm doing it by praying to God. I want God's help, right? I want God's guidance. I want God's whatever. When I'm trying to manifest something and I'm meditating on it, which is the same as praying, right? Closed eyes, in a sense of oneness, you're kind of focusing on this one thing, right? Whatever prayer, or you're focusing on your manifestation or what you want to work on. I'm noticing the parallels between the two and how they're very similar. So when you pray to God, it requires you to be a certain thing or act a certain way, or depending on what you're praying for, to interact in your own manifestation of what you want to happen. When you meditate, and you meditate, like, you're meditating and you want to manifest wealth, or you want to manifest prosperity, or you want to manifest a job you're trying to get, or you want to manifest love, or whatever you want to manifest in life. It takes you interacting with your life on a certain level, changing certain habits, doing things differently, getting out of your comfort zone, whatever it might be, for those things to happen. They don't happen on their own. When you pray to God and you ask God for courage, God doesn't make you courageous. What does God give you?
The opportunity or the chance to
be courageous. What does that entail? You, excuse me, interacting with that and saying, this is where I step in, and I'm not going to be courageous like this, but I'm going to have the opportunity to be courageous in this event, or in this. Like, if I would have asked God last week, give me the strength to get through this. God didn't give me the strength to get through it. God said, well, here's an opportunity, be strong. But here's the caveat. Here's the one thing I did notice. When I use the word God, for some reason, and this is, I'm going to chalk it up to my upbringing. I was always brought up religious, right? So I always went to God as a child. I always prayed to God as a child. I always prayed, right? That was my thing. I didn't know about the universe. I didn't understand any of that, really. So I always felt connected. I would always say, I always felt the connection. Like, I would ask and I would get a sign. Could be anything. Whatever the sign might be, I would get this kind of, there it is. Like, I'm listening. I hear you. Not that like everything happened, everything's great now, but I hear you. And like, I would feel like I'm not alone. When I used the word universe, while I would still get, like, that time where I said with the NJOCD thing, I kind of looked up at the universe and said, come on, am I doing this the right way? And all of it, and I didn't say God. I said that time I actually was talking to the universe. And then I got an email, like, I noticed I got an email at that moment, like an hour later, it was timestamped like a minute later from when I asked that. I noticed when I use the word God, but I feel something different. And I chalk this up to not one's right over the other. I noticed that I've created a better connection, I think, with that word, where my ability to connect with something greater than me just happens a little bit easier with that word for me. And again, a lot of this is comfort level with people, right? Because you have very religious people who believe that you can manifest things. Yeah. They believe in God. They believe you can manifest things. They believe that God's it. And I would always say God or universe, whatever works better for you. So I noticed like these similarities, and I was like, this is pretty interesting. People always have this argument over God and universe, but people of spiritual mentality understand that it's one, and they're both two and the same. It's no difference. You just got to take away the box of goodies that the man made, and just strip it down to what it actually is, right? And so, and last week I said, for me, it was, I had a couple of instances where I prayed to God, and I noticed, like for me, certain numbers would show up in my life, and at one point I thought it was my OCD, and because of my OCD, I started obsessing about certain numbers. Like, I thought they meant something bad. Oh my God, what do they mean? These numbers. But my whole life, like, they've been around, and I never really paid attention. But when my OCD kind of spiked up, I started paying attention to them more. But ever since then, when I've realized that it was just me attaching to and giving a meaning beyond what they actually were, these numbers. But it was funny. It's kind of funny, especially as of late. I do realize at certain times when I've asked for something, I've looked at a clock and those are the numbers that
wow, that's crazy.
Right? So I was driving to the hospital, I think, and I prayed to God at this moment, right? I used the word God this time. I said, God, and I forgot what I asked for exactly. And I looked down and I saw my number. I saw the numbers. Really? 22, 8. It was 8:22 in the morning. The numbers are always 8:22, right? Or a derivative of, could be, and then this could be a little bit of obsessive thinking where I used to go down rabbit holes, 44, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right. But anyway, in this moment, I saw those numbers. And when I saw them, and this has happened in the past, not just with numbers, with other coincidences too, I had this feeling of, like, you're not alone. And all of a sudden, like, I just felt, not that everything's going to be okay, but I felt like, okay. I'm like, okay, all right. Anyway, that was kind of cool because it's happened with both of me. It's happened with the universe. It's happened with God now. So I'm trying to anyway, without rambling too much. The point of this show is to show people. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what background you are. I don't care Buddhist, Hindu, the Well, I made a word up last time we were doing. Remember Judy?
Yeah.
Judas.
Judas.
The Judaism. I don't care what you are, Christian, Catholic, whatever you call your God or whatever you call it. If your intentions are pure and you're willing to go through whatever you're being asked to go through by the universe, by God, by Yahweh, by Muhammad, by whoever, right? It might be. Chances are you're going to be on a path that benefits you. Chances are overwhelmingly that you're on a path that's going to benefit you and it's going to work out in the end in a better way for you. But I always say you got to do it with it's got to be done with meditating, a clear mind, praying with a pure heart, right? They'll say when you pray with a pure heart. Heart and mind are, if you listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza, see how we're bringing this all together, is heart and mind. The mind connects more with the universal thinking. The heart connects more with a religious or prayer thinking. But what if you use both of them? Combine them, and this is what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, how you can make a connection to something greater than us, right? And he has a whole different angle on it, but just the fact that he uses those two things, heart and mind, and how you connect them and the mind goes to a higher level, I believe that to be really true. Now, which entry point do you want to use? I really leave that up to the person, whatever you come. So somebody might be comfortable with the meditating and saying, I ask the universe. When I ask the universe for something, my mind gets confused. I notice that. Like if I'm sitting here going, I want, and then I go, I don't know what I want. Like, I don't know. They go, what do you mean you don't know what you want? I don't know. Do I want 20 clients? Do I want 1,000 clients? Do I want 4 clients? Do I want to be super successful? Do I not want to be super successful? Do I want to be on talk shows? Do I not want to be? I mean, this is the thing that goes in my mind. And I'm pure. And honestly, I say, I don't know what I don't know what I really want. And this has been my go-to my whole life. Like I say as a kid, when I wasn't sure about something, show me the path.
Good.
Like
that's good.
Okay, you have to smack me in the face now. I'm not getting it, God. Smack me in the face with it. And it might be like, oh my God, you're gonna go through something shitty, but we're gonna bring you out in the other. So like sometimes when I'm meditating and I'm trying to manifest something, I'm like, I want to be a great spiritual life coach. I want to be this, but I feel like am I generically saying this? So I've noticed for me, it's easier and more genuine when I speak with my heart than when I speak with my mind. When I speak with my mind, because maybe the way it's wired, tends to get confused and ramble on. When I speak with my heart, I don't have to speak. It speaks for me almost. I think, what do I want? I want to help people and stop suffering for the people. Like, that's it. Like, that's the message all of a sudden. The mind wants to add, for me, the mind wants to add cherries on top, right? Because we're told, ask for cherries, you're going to get cherries. You're going to get the whipped cream. You're going to get everything on top. But ask my heart. And we said this before, John.
That's right.
Right? Like, what's the basis of me? Is to ease the suffering of people around me. Like, that's what my heart says. So, like, is that it? Like, I just leave it there. When I pray, that's what I pray for, that I can be of use to somebody else. I don't know how that benefits a book or my podcast. No idea. Like, and maybe it's not meant to. I don't know.
Well, there's that. And then there's the other one where you're not alone in that you don't know what you want. I think most of us don't know what we want. I think most of us think we know what we want.
Exactly.
At any given moment, that could change.
Yeah.
And go back. Like, so what happens if it changes and it goes back? We don't know what we want. But we have a general direction.
Agreed.
We have the sense. And I believe that what happens is the universe, especially if you're in tune, will create a path for you that you don't even understand that it's creating a path for you. Because at the moment that you were struggling with your mental health issue, you didn't realize there was a path being created. All you know was, oh my God, you're in the throes of
It
things.
sucks.
Right? As always, we're in the throes of shit.
Yeah.
But a path opened up. And here we are. And if I were to tell you 7 years ago, hey, John, 7 years from now, you're probably going to do a podcast. You're probably going to write a book. Like, you probably would look at me like, what the hell?
I can't walk a straight line right now, I would have said 7 years ago.
Yet here we are. And you had the chance even to speak publicly about it, at a New Jersey OCD. And again, here we are. And the same way you don't know that a path was developing 7 years ago, you don't know that the path is also developing, branching, widening. You don't know. We don't know. So I would say is go back to the example that I gave John Skomsky before, which came from you. Why do you need to know?
Agreed. And that's why I say how does it work for you to make that connection? Some people could have a clear intent in their mind. Their mind works that way, right? Or that's how they're used to doing it.
Correct.
For me,
I think it's a wiring.
It's a wiring. I'm wired to speak with my heart because the more I think about it now, I've always spoken with my heart my whole life. I've always been the one that says I wear my heart on my sleeves. Like I'm not a hard guy to read when either I'm going through something or I'm feeling something. I'm not. My emotions, I don't hide emotions. My emotions they come out of me. I can't. If I try to keep them in, I pop like a balloon.
It's your natural state.
I go pop. I can't.
Yeah.
So like if I'm watching something on a TV show, like I start crying. What the fuck's wrong with you? Like who's the boss? I'm like, that's an old show. For you under 40 people, maybe you don't know.
Tony Danza is.
I've been streaming that show like crazy lately, going on Hulu. I'm like on I don't know, there was an episode with his grandfather, and his grandfather got naturalized as a citizen after he had passed away, and Angela helped him do it, whatever. And as the judge is reading it to Tony, my eyes are fucking welling up at the kitchen table, and I'm trying to do this with my wife. I'm like, it's a comedy show. There's nothing sad about this. But I anyway, so I feel with my heart immensely. I'm an empath, right? I'm very empathetic. So
yeah.
So for me, I've noticed I need to connect. I need to use this more than this to connect to what I'm looking for.
I feel you because I'm just like you. And I think that's also what draws people to us. In other words, I think that's what draws people to us because they understand that when they speak to us, they're gonna get a real response, a real answer. You know, like a real person who is giving them 100%.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean, with their heart. Where a lot of people are so protective of their heart that they've managed to put this scar tissue on top of that beautiful organ, and you don't get the true person. What you get is some filtered, watered down, oh yeah, that's nice. And you're not penetrating in conversation, you're not penetrating in the connection that you make with the person. And you could just tell that, you know, this is a conversation that's superficial right here, right? But because I'm not letting you in, you're not coming in, and I'm not interested in connecting with you. But for us, it's like when you connect, like different sensors go.
Yeah, sure.
Connected. That's freaking awesome. And that's probably why we're good at communicating. Probably why I'm good at in the sales. Like I don't think I'm good at sales. What I'm good at,
I'm not.
What I'm good at is communicating,
which can make you very good at sales.
Well, yeah.
If you believe, this would have been good to talk to John about shit. If you believe in what you're selling, like I believe in what I'm selling,
right?
Like I believe this, then you'll be good at selling it,
right?
Then if you're pushing something to push it and your heart's not in it, then you have that, you know, the quote unquote the whole salesman routine. Like I could sell ice to an Eskimo,
and you could feel it.
Yeah, you could feel it.
You could feel it.
If you believe it, you can feel it. Then you can
right. I mean, if you know what, I'm going to take a break here for the moment and just say, if you think back of when you bought a car, because I bought several cars, and you can sort of remember the best car salesman. Do you remember your best car salesman?
Best meaning like the most prototypical salesman, or like the
guy who just broke the mold in the sense he's not
in it for the sale.
No, he's not in. He's like on top of me. He was very cool, hands in pocket. When you're ready, I'm ready. I'm gonna show you some cool features. I'm just show you real quick, and you guys discuss. He wasn't pushy. He wasn't like putting the. So, do we have a deal? I remember that guy.
Yeah.
And I remember a few of the other guys, but that guy stood out because the connection almost was he's speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one had a tattooed on their forehead. I need a sale, so I'll say whatever I got to say.
Yeah.
You know,
they weren't genuine.
You're right. You know, and I think that comes across. But going back to what you said about how the religion aspect just connects well with you. Not that the universe Didn't, but it feels good. It feels like comfortable territory. And I think psychologically that happens because we had this Catholic upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So your whole life, you've had this relationship with God.
Yeah.
Whether it was pushed on you or by osmosis because you're in a household and a whole family where
Yeah, your environment, sure.
right?
You absorb things as a child, absolutely.
So I think it's familiar.
It's familiar. The word is familiar.
It's familiar. No, but what I'm saying is, I think psychologically that's why it sort of resonates better. And I'm going to tell you this. So in my mind, I went through this period of time with religion where I wasn't quite clear. I was a little bit like
So was I.
murky.
Was it recently?
I was an adult, you know what I mean? Like I was definitely 20s, 30s,
Okay.
you know. So it was like, and what I did was I confused the church, which
With
is
God.
something where we split, right? The church with God.
With God.
And I also didn't put my God in the same basket as the other gods. So, like, I always viewed religion as, 10 different baskets: Buddha, Muhammad.
You go with this. Who's right?
Right. Correct.
And everybody's gonna tell you I'm right. Mine's right. Mine's right.
And you want me to tell you the most ironic thing?
You're all right.
This is ironic.
Yeah.
So, what do we call the show? Is the universal universe, right? The universe is where everybody combines. What do you call that remote control that works every single TV?
Universal
A
remote.
universal remote.
And I have one. It's funny.
So that is why, in my opinion, the word universe comes in to capture
all encompassing.
To capture all of those people that don't believe in Jesus or God, but you believe in something else. Universe. It's universal. You believe in Buddha, but you don't believe in Muhammad. Right. It's universal. You believe in Hindu, what? Right. It's universal.
While I'm not a expert on theology. So, as far as study of religions, I do know I would take a guess that a overwhelming majority of any spiritual divine figure, as in God or Muhammad or Yahweh or any of the Indian,
Vishnu, Ganesh.
Vishnu, have one intention and one message is to what I said before, is to end the suffer, is to try to relieve the suffering of those around you. At the end of the day, I would safely say, if not every God name, God's variation of gods that we have in our language, that they all preach the same thing originally, right? Originally is to end the suffering of the ones around you, to help the ones around you. I would say for the most part,
same code of conduct.
So before we got involved.
Good.
As people.
The same code of conduct.
As humans, right? As humans. So whatever you called it, you believe this certain code of conduct, how we should act with each other. And then we built a mosque, a temple, a church, a mausoleum, a cathedral,
everything,
or whatever, a city in Rome. We built things. And you know who built the things? God didn't build the things. Muhammad didn't build the things. Buddha didn't build the things. None of them built the things. The things were built by us. We created everything that came after them. So that's why when Henry says God, a universe, and we try to make the point that it doesn't matter which word you use, because like you said before, a lot of people, you said what you went through in your 20s, a lot of people have that word God attached to the church.
Yep.
So hold on. I can't believe in God if I don't believe in the church. Right. Okay. And by the way, if you do, that's great. This isn't a judgment of for or against if you believe in the church. Right. It has nothing to do with it. For me, it's a comfort level for you. I think that's beautiful and it's awesome, right? Churches are gorgeous. Being in them and praying could be very cathartic for people to do. I think that's amazing to do it. Going to church on Sunday is phenomenal. But you don't necessarily, for me, I don't necessarily, and I knew this as a child. This is where this struck, like for some reason, like a chord struck in me even as a kid, where I didn't feel I needed to be in a building to be connected to God. Like I didn't feel I needed to do that, and it wasn't because I didn't want to go to church, or maybe I didn't. I was a kid. Who wants to sit in church for an hour as a child? Maybe I didn't want to, but I always was like, I could speak to him whenever I want. So I kind of kept that going my whole life. I'm like, but a lot of people, yes, they'll be like, well, if you don't believe in the church, then you don't believe in God, and I'm like, no. So if I don't believe in a Zen monastery, I don't believe in the universe, or I don't believe in universal thinking, or I don't believe in spirituality. No, I don't have to go to a monastery to meditate and to be mindful or to be present or to find myself or to realize who the voices in my head are. I don't need to. But the people who do and have gone for 14, 20 years, hey, listen,
It works.
I think that's amazing. Great. Good for you. Was it a great experience? John, it was the best 14 years of my life. That's awesome. That's great. I couldn't be happier for you.
It works.
Go to church on Sunday? Great. I couldn't be happier for you. But I know for fact, because I've done it both ways, I don't need to go to a Zen, I don't to go to a monastery for 14 years to have that mentality or to adopt that mentality or to feel connected to the universe. I don't need to be in a church to feel connected to God. And that was evident to me because my whole life I've been doing it. Like I've been accomplishing something that, and again, this isn't a knock on going to church. I can speak for my upbringing. That's why I use the word church a lot. I can be connected with something greater than by just speaking with them. But how do I speak for them? And we get back to what we said in the beginning of the show. For me, I noticed like this go around, what I went through, I realized how I was connecting from not my mind. I was speaking from my heart. And when my heart speaks, my heart is like my conscious voice. Like my website talks all about your conscious voice. It's that inner voice that doesn't lie to you. It gives it to you straight. You don't always want to hear it. When we interpret that voice with our minds, that inner voice, our minds then puts a judgment on it, questions on it, interprets it, analyzes it, and all of a sudden it starts to get jumbled up in our heads as we're trying to put it out. But when it comes from here, I feel it's, for me personally, it's direct, it's clear, it's concise. Yes, no, go, don't, now, then. Like it's like when I speak from here, there's no fluff. I want to end the suffering of I want to help end. I want to help people. I want to reduce the suffering of the people around me, if I can, how I can, in whatever capacity I can. Like it, and that when I draw, I could go like this. Okay, that's it. I could walk away and go. That's it. But what about making money? See, that's where my mind comes in and goes, I want to be a great coach, and I guess I want to have a successful business, but like those aren't my true values anymore. Like what really matters is that one thing. And I think I would get confused when I was trying to do it through this. When I would try to meditate it, I would get confused on what my message is. I realized last week when I would be able to connect to something like, boom, I'm done. I'm connected. Wow, crap, I did it. I'm there. I connected to it. Okay, that's awesome. No fluff, no nothing else. I'm like, well, let me see if I could use this going forward with everything else, right? And just simply and leave it there. And like you said before to me, right? You said, why do you need to know the answer? Like you don't. Okay, leave it there and let's see what happens with it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, and it's not to say that you disregard religious symbols
Absolutely
or you
not.
disregard, because I'm going to say this. So I am not what you would call a classical religious guy. But to those that know me deeply, like the people I live with, right? My wife and my kids, they've seen me in situations where, it was life or death and, it was important. And there's where you see like a true person, like, in a real like situation. And I think I'm like you in the sense, I don't need a priest. I don't need the physical church. I don't need that.
Yeah.
What I need is my connection. But does it mean that if I'm in a hospital and my daughter, who I've been there, by the way.
Oh, we drove in. I remember with the heart. Yeah, years ago.
I've been there. If I'm in a hospital and my daughter's upstairs in the NICU and I'm going bananas and there's a chapel in the hospital, doesn't mean that I won't go in there.
Of course not.
And
has nothing to do with that. Yeah,
and connect, right? I will. But in general, my personal opinion is a lot of that stuff is,
It's for those that
Tactile stuff I could touch.
touch. Yeah,
You can't touch God. You
No.
can't see God.
no, but if that works for you, right? If going to a temple works for you, if going to a Zen monastery works for you,
Do it.
do
It
it.
works for you. That's it.
When I
works
was
for
in Sophia, a priest came in because St. Peter. She was at St. Peter's up in East Brunswick, in New Brunswick. By the way, great hospital. Everybody was beautiful there. I still have to write a glowing letter to the president of that place for how they treated us. But a priest came in because it's a Catholic hospital,
Sure.
right? Like when he came in, I didn't go, oh, my mind didn't go, oh, here we go, priest. I got to listen to this guy pray to God and
Yeah.
tell. Like my mind didn't go there. You know, at one point it might have, because I might have become a little bit
Cynical.
early on cynical because I was going through a change back then. So I might have been a little cynical. I'm talking back then. I'm not talking recently. But when he came in now, I allowed him, like I didn't say nothing. He spoke. Actually, he was very funny. He was telling jokes most of the time. But when he wanted to pray, he was a very nice gentleman. When he wanted to pray and he said a prayer, I put my hands
You're in
together, I
there.
put my hand down, and I said, let's pray. But how do I stress? It's a choice that when I feel it works, but I don't need to be in like we prayed in a hospital room, right? So I don't need to go to church. I don't need to be in a building to pray. And it's just to show people the point. Again, this isn't if you go to church, keep going. I think you should go. Great. Go every Sunday, pray. It makes you feel great. You're connected with something greater than yourself. I could not be happier for everybody who does it on a Sunday. We're just trying to show for the people who are in between and maybe confused out there. Maybe there's somebody who is like, you know what, I do believe in God, but I don't believe in, like, I'm not like a big church guy. I'm not a big, here are the rules. You got to do what we say. Who are the rules created by? We got them from a guy named Moses. Okay, where did Moses get them from? He said and got them from God. I think the rules are great. The 10 Commandments, beautiful. What about all the other rules they made up? Well, those are bishops and cardinals and popes. And okay, those are people like us, human beings, right? Because they're not divine. They're humans. Okay, I don't need that. Like, I don't need to subject myself personally to that to connect to that. Like, if I could connect to God and, hey, God, I'm talking to you. You see the person I am. Yeah, I'm trying to do your work, right? And this help people around me. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
But anyway, I noticed like this week how speaking from the heart and praying was my way of with more clarity connecting to God or the universe without kind of going through. Because when it travels up here for me, when it travels up here before it hits here, it gets very staticky for me.
Yes.
And that's just me, right? That's me. For me, my mind works better when the message is sent from here, not filtered and being just push it out.
I think fine. You know, I say, just like you say, if it works for you, it works for you. So if it works for you, it works for you. There's nothing strange or anything. No. But I think there is a useful application of using this because, like you did, in other words, prior to discovering that you can use your heart, you were using this. And I think that was so useful.
Oh, yes.
Because
I'll talk about more about manifestation, the manifesting part of it.
Sure.
The manifesting part of it. I'm sorry, if I didn't make that clear.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is important because what's going to happen is,
of course,
you process things much better.
Yeah, no. I was speaking more on when you're trying to manifest something through meditation or you're praying for something to your God or whatever. Where for me, it's better when that message comes from here and then to here and just goes out instead of me trying to create it up here and put the story together up here.
Right.
I think when I try to do that, I get very, okay, but is that genuinely what I want? Or is that what I think? Like murky. You said before, or is that what I think I want?
Yeah, it gets murky.
Like you asked me before, we were sitting here, you're like, how the clients going? I'm like, yeah, all right, I got one right now. Okay. How many do you want? And what was my answer? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, how do I manifest something that I don't know?
Right.
So I'm learning, strip it down. What's my intention? To help reduce the suffering of people around me. And that could be in any way possible. Helping them, they need a hand, whatever I could do. Most of the time it's people want to sit and talk with me. Like that's been my biggest thing is people come to me with problems and they kind of want to get it out and they want to talk, whether it's about anxiety or depression or OCD or whatever it might be. And I offer insights and I offer things I went through, and maybe it puts them on a better path. And I know people I've spoken to, which it has put them on. I'm like, okay, well, that's it. That's it. So what about the coaching? Yeah, I like to do it, but I want to do it with the people that want me to do it with them. And I'm like, and that's where I get confused if I get in my head too much about it. And I need it to be like, if I listen to the whole Dr. Joe thing about Proctor thing, I'm going to get into a very manifesting a business thing, because that's how my mind interprets it. And I get lost in it.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe and Bob Proctor are great. I think their messages are phenomenal. My mind interprets it and I get confused because that's the way my mind works, right?
That's why everybody is different in the sense, like you said before, if that works for you, do it.
Great. Yeah.
Right? Some people need to go to a Zen monastery.
Sure.
Some people don't.
No.
You know? And that's it. Simple as that. That's why Bob Proctor struck me, but it didn't strike you. You can see the value, but
I think Bob is awesome. Right? Yeah.
But it's like that. Like John was asking, what were the moments that really impacted you? And Bob Proctor for me. Yeah. I don't know. That for me, I can see the parallels. I can see the benefits, but also for me, where I departed or where I started to have issues was when I would say where, Lent, right? So Lent would come around and they say, well, you can't eat meat on Fridays. And I was, I wasn't like aware or paying attention. And all of a sudden you're eating your burger and they're like, what are you doing? It's Friday. I'm like, all right. And dude, you can't eat meat on Friday.
I get it.
And I'm like, all right. I mean, what's going to happen? I'm going to struck by a lightning bolt here. And I had this reaction. I was like, not tantalizing, but like trying to understand, like, why are you so bent out of shape? Like,
because for that person, they're attached to the
rules.
They're attached to the rules that come with the box. And when we say box, I mean, like when I say box religion, it could be any box religion, but the religion itself, whatever it might be, right, whether it's Catholicism or something else, is certain people adhere to those rules very strictly, and that's fine if they want to. Right. But so when people look at me, I'm the same way with you. Like, I eat on Fridays during Lent. Like, how do you eat meat on Fridays? I'm like, we made that rule up,
right?
And if you want to follow it, I'm like, that is fine.
No, I'm not going to argue with you.
I say you could eat meat every Friday. You could eat fish on Fridays and be an asshole the other 6 days of the week.
Yeah.
Watch this. I'm not an asshole for 7 days of the week. I try to do things that would make any God or universe be like, well, that's a decent, good, loving human being that has the best. Really, while he's human and that person does make mistakes, and because they are not, they are a human being, but they have the best of intentions of what they're doing in their life. I'm going to care that he's eating meat on a Friday? And I'm like, don't judge me if I want to eat meat on Friday and say I'm not a good Christian or I'm not trying to be a good Christian. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm not trying to be a good Catholic. I'm trying to be a good person.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a good Hindu. I'm a good person. I'm a good Muslim. I'm a good person. Everybody gets so washed in their labels that they forget, be a good person. And none of that, it all goes away.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference, because God, if you do go to the pearly gates of heaven when you die, if whatever, he's not going to care. Oh, you were a great person, but you ate meat on Fridays. Right. I'm sorry, I'm condemning you to hell.
That's exactly the way I see it. Yeah.
How do I go? So if you will go to it, and this might be one of those episodes where we might either lose some people. How do I go? You go to a priest and you ask him that question, and I use priest again because that's what I know. I'm a good person. I do all the, but I eat meat on Fridays. Am I going to hell? Any priest who's worth his weight in what he does? Absolutely not, my son.
He'd probably smile.
Absolutely not.
He'd probably smile and be like,
all the Lord, he's going to tell you, all God wants you to do is be a good human being to your fellow man. End of discussion. Because if you follow that rule, everything else behind it, do not lie, do not steal, do not cheat, do not kill, that is be good to your human being. Like, we wrap it all up into one, right? And if you could reduce the suffering of people around you, you could still live a very prosperous life. You could live a beautiful life. You could experience life as you want. I know we went off on a little tangent here. It had nothing to do with the similarities between meditation and prayer, but this kind of happens when you're talking about things like
Yeah.
this. You're gonna go into you're gonna have branches that kind of
Guess what?
stem off.
There's no rules.
No, there are no rules. There are no rules.
It's your show.
Exactly. So you're right. At the end of the day, pay attention if you're somebody who does meditate, right? And next time that person's praying, understand that they're not praying necessarily to a symbol of a man on a cross. Well, that might, Jesus Christ, who we did know he did exist, right? He was a person. There's scriptures and stuff about him, but they're praying to the creator of whatever, something greater than themselves, something that speaks to you, that pulls you, like we say, that universal pull and push, right? Sometimes why you thrust into a situation, I can't sit and say, oh, it's all happenstance. It's coincidence. Okay, well, then there's a lot of damn coincidences that happen. Like if you ever really think about it, do you know how like precise things have to be to actually work in this world? Like, like if things are off by 1/1,000,000th of a degree or 1/1,000,000th of a percentage less, the Earth won't be able to hold its gravitational pull. Like things need to be so precise, like exactly precise for this planet to exist, for us to exist, for us to breathe, for us to work as human beings. Come on, like I might not be a religious person per se, but I kind of look up and, well, I mean,
there is a greater thing.
I mean, it depends on where you could look up. You can look sideways. We're around the globe. Some people are looking down, but they think they're looking up.
There's a greater thing.
There's something out there that just pulls and pushes us. So if I use the word God and I pray and I feel all of a sudden, people say you feel like somebody's standing next to you, but there's nobody there, but you feel like you're not alone all of a sudden. That's you connecting to whatever this is. Whatever went like this to the Earth one day and goes, I'm going to start you spinning. And started to spin. All right. That's great.
Yeah. My issues coming up was something like that, where I would say, how is it possible that us Catholics, right? We've been given a story that we're going, if we're good, if the end of our balance sheet of life is more net good, you're going to go to the pearly gates of heaven.
Based on fear.
If your net balance sheet was negative, you're going to the fiery hell, like with the devil. Like, oh my God. So that's our story, Catholics. The Muslims have their story.
Yeah.
The Jews have their story, right? And everybody else has their story. So I said, all right, so what is there? A development in the sky that these are where the Catholics go. So go see St. Peter. You Catholic, go see St. Peter. You Muslim, you go see Muhammad.
But that's how the human mind works, right? It needs to label everything.
So imagine, we're all waiting at the Ellis Island of the sky. And then they go,
like that.
Right, you go, you here, you
immigration papers.
Vito Corleone. You go here, you go there, and what I came up with as a kid, my hypothesis is there is something greater. I can't put my finger on it.
You're not meant to.
Right.
You're not built to.
That's it.
You won't ever because you can't.
I can have the capacity to question it.
Yes.
But I may not have the capacity to go
answer.
There it is.
Yeah,
no. So
we wouldn't be experiencing this human life if we could.
But we know that we may all be wrong in the sense there is no bearded man, that there is no he had a father. It's a story. It could be. And Muhammad is a story. Don't kill me. And the same thing with the Jews, absolutely. The same thing with the Hindus, and keep going. It could all be story based because that greater power said we have an earth full of people. This experiment that we have here is full of people. If you leave people to their base instinct
we're animals by nature. We've evolved from over millions of years.
So if we didn't have inculcated in us, don't lie, don't cheat, don't murder, don't steal,
it'd be anarchy, as we call it, right? It'd be anarchy,
right?
The Wild West will still be
ridiculous. And as it is, we already have a litigious, contentious society that every once in a while, every day, somebody dies in some sort of capacity. But these are codes of conduct that, if they work, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. But I think they all get together in this thing called we identify as the universe. what that thing's name is, if it's a man, a woman, or another thing.
Yeah, I just, my big thing is I wish everybody who is listening to this, if they haven't turned this off yet by now because they either got insulted or offended, and I'm sorry if you did, that wasn't the intention of any of this, is to realize, like what I said before, stop treating. I realized when I was saying the praying thing with the meditating thing, how it doesn't make a difference. And that what I'm trying to do is strip away the labels, right? With the mindfulness, with my mental health and everybody's mental health, like what do I try to do, even in my book when we talk about it? Strip away the labels, right? Dr. Stephen Phillipson said it best: labels are for jars, not for people. We tend to want to label everything: Catholic, Judas, monk, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Protestant, Lutheran, label, 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 label. Happy, sad,
short.
And I hope you listen to it now, because this is where it's happy, sad, depressed, anxious. We put fucking labels on everything in life. And unless it's a label, we can't understand it. So we need to put more labels on it. If you strip the labels away, you know what you're left with? You're left with life, and you're left with connecting to something greater than it. And it's that simple. That's stripped. My point was to try to, in mental health, I try to strip the labels away. You're not those things. You experience those things. You're not Christian. You experience God. You're not Buddhist. You experience Buddha. You're not Hindu. You experience whoever.
You can understand.
You're not Muslim. You experience Muhammad. You're experiencing what this thing you believe in. You're not whatever. You experience universal power, universal intelligence, the universal lens. You experience it, and like if you could just look at it that way, like everything else goes away. It's just so much simpler.
You are not 99, in my opinion, 100% right. The issue here is the bonding that occurs when you've been told your whole life you're a Catholic and you've been to the church, and so now when somebody says you're not Catholic, you're saying no, follow, listen to me. You are not Catholic. You experienced God, bro. I'm Catholic because I don't not eat pork. I don't
kneel and
okay, stop.
Whatever, and
repeat again. And now you'll tell. And by the way, because I have Hindu friends, and if I tell a Hindu you're not Hindu, man, you might as well, you might as well push them and say, oh, you got, you know what I mean? Like, because that's how serious religion is for some people. And we're identifying religion as more as whatever connection you have to the superior being, if that's what you're comfortable with, let that be. Because if that's what helps you, let that be it. And that's it. The more we add on to, like, meet on Fridays, and you have to pray the rosary this way or the other way. And,
that becomes a lot.
God forbid you don't pray the Our Father. You can mess up the words. You don't even have to say the Our Father. How about connect? That's it. That's all you need. And whoever's on the other side that you think you're talking to, well, in your mind, you may have an image, because we're human. We need images.
Sure. Yeah.
And we may think of the long bearded fellow with the longer hair who very peaceful in nature. We all have seen these various images because nobody's ever seen him.
Nor will they.
Right. So, and that goes for every other god. Sorry. That's just how that is the mystery of it all. Because isn't it ironic that none of us have seen our gods? None of us have seen our gods.
No, I mean, listen, you're going to have people in the Christians. They're going to say, like, the appearance of Fatima, of Mary,
and Medjugorje happened to you.
Yeah, Padre Pio.
Padre Pio.
Yeah. So, but whether it's God or not, the point is, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't matter what you want to call it. Understand, it's the same thing. I think that's the point, right?
Right.
It's not a.
They all meet.
Whether you go to church, whether you say the Our Father, whether you don't say the Our Father, whether you say the Hail Mary, whether you don't say the Hail Mary, like it's not about that. You could still believe.
They all meet there.
They all meet there. Yeah. You at the end of the day, they're all one and the same. They guide us and help us and give us and show us a path when we don't know we have a path. So whether you're meditating or you're praying, it doesn't make it. But realize when you're doing both, they require. And this was a point of the show in the beginning. Requires for you to do your part. Right? You don't pray for you don't ask the universe for something and you got it.
Right. It doesn't fall from the
It
heavens.
doesn't fall from the heavens. You don't pray to God for something and it happens. God might give you the opportunity for something to happen.
But what it does is it put your focus on that thing. It put you in a silent, thoughtful environment to focus on that thing and to profess to the higher being what you're thinking, what you're wanting, what you're needing. And psychologically speaking, when you focus on something, or they say, as a man thinketh, right? As a man thinketh is how he acteth, right? So as a man thinketh, it says you become what you think about. You get what you think about. So that's why, related back to what we spoke about, John Skonsky, protect your subconscious so that you think about things that you want to manifest, things that you want.
Oh yeah,
right? Things that you
garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage
Remember that
in,
as a
garbage
kid?
out.
Garbage in, garbage
Yeah.
out. Garbage
So-
in, garbage out.
For sure, a religious code of conduct is absolute. If that works for you, do it because it's great. And apparently, like John said, I discovered that it kind of works for me. You know, it has its advantages over just straight universe, right? The religious.
Yeah, but that's all. I think all religions have some sort of code of conduct, how you should
Right.
act and be, and they all at the heart of it speak of taking care of your fellow human being. That's what it's really all. That's what I try to say. That understand everybody's got the same message for the most part, but how you connect to that thing, how you connect to God or the universe, it's one and the same. Whether you want to pray, whether you want to kneel, whether you want to meditate, it's all in the same. I think the only difference is when we meditate, we tend to use even Dr. Joe does talk about feeling your heart,
He says heart and mind coherence.
heart and mind coherence. But I like that it's heart and mind, not mind and heart. So what I noticed for me, I always try to do mind like with my mind, and that's why I would get these confusing messages. I wouldn't understand. But when it's with my heart, like my heart doesn't have a confused message. Like it is. The message doesn't change. It is. This is what I want in life. This is what I want to do in life. This is what I yearn to do in life, is to help people and to help reduce the suffering of my fellow human beings around me. Like that's what my heart says I want to do. In whatever capacity it might be. Okay? Yes, I have to have a job, make money, and go to work. I get all that. But like if I just leave it to my mind's going to want to put layers on it and layers on it and layers. So when it comes from here, it goes up to here, and my mind's like, oh, hands off. I like this message. Push it out.
It just hit me now. Something.
You know?
I think you'd agree. We say the heart, and we point to the heart. I don't know if there's really something stemming from the heart that shoots up. We interpret it as that.
The flow of energy could be.
We interpret it as that. But wherever it's coming from, we labeled it the heart. So just so we can have
the label. Correct.
What was that?
It was a text message. I'm sorry. Why'd that come through?
No, I'll tell you, the sound was very religious. The sound was very churchy.
Wow. Yeah, that was weird, right?
You talk shit about the church? There you go. Boom.
That was pretty cool. Sorry about that. All right.
But the same way we labeled the heart and we point here is the same thing religion has done. It has given a label to the religion, and which is taking the place of the universe. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The heart, and we keep pointing to here, and we keep saying, when I speak from the heart, as opposed to speaking from the, just like, where is your mind? And you're going to go, oh, is your mind here? Where is your mind?
That's your brain.
Right? So all these different labels can lend themselves to confuse people, especially after centuries and centuries and centuries of repetition. Is that me? Well, we're popular.
We're all
I think we should.
I think the universe and the heavens are
they're telling us something.
are raining down on us.
They're telling
Either they're approving of our message, or somebody's pissed
Yeah,
off.
actually, I'm juggling a lot of things right now.
Yeah, no. So, look, at the end of the day, I know today's episode was kind of a little bit of all on the same topic of, meditation and prayer, but we kind of went off a little bit of what religion is, what it's not, and this and that. But it all flows together.
I enjoyed it.
But I hope, I enjoyed it. I loved it because I think it's something that should be spoken about more.
We got in the car.
Yeah,
and we drove around the prairie.
Yeah,
and we took a turn.
Strip the labels. No, but strip the labels down. I'm all for that. I'm all for stripping the labels off of everything, and everybody understanding, like, we all want the same thing in life, right? So anyway, so whether you meditate or whether you pray, understand that it takes you to do something on your end to make that happen also. Yeah. Just doesn't happen on its own.
Yeah.
Right?
Just shoot to be a good person.
Yeah. So, I mean, prayer. Like I found prayer last week. I found prayer. I realized how I'm more connected through prayer. For me, I get a clearer message out. That's it. But that works for me. The next person might not work. The next person might need to go to church for it to happen. So whatever works for you, that's great. But understand the similarities between both, so we don't cast judgment on the person who does go to church or who doesn't go to church, who does meditate, who doesn't meditate, who goes to the mosque, who doesn't go to the mosque. Right. Understand that it's their actions as a human being that matter more than what building they go into or which avenue they take to connect to that divine power. As long as their actions are in line with that, with what all these, divine presences or divine beings really, in whatever labels they give them, they all speak of the same thing. As long as your actions are in line with that, doesn't matter where you're coming from. No, it doesn't. And so it's like, even for my mother, like, I love my mother to death, but my mother hates that I don't go to church. Sure. Like it physically bothers her
because she's attached to the.
Yeah, and like it physically bothers her that I don't speak about God and Jesus in the church, and I don't bow down and pray, and I don't do all that, like, very, very box religion stuff. Like, she fears, and I get it why she does it. I understand it, and it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from anywhere else. Like, I wish she would hear this and make her understand. It doesn't matter, Ma. It's like, I'm talking to you, Ma. It doesn't matter. However you want to get there, you get there. But as long as your heart is pure when you're going, as long as your heart is pure when you're talking to that, that's it. Right. That's all that matters. And your actions are in line with what you're asking for.
Right. Think of how many hypocrites there are that go every Sunday. They're there, but they're cheating on their wives.
Their egos the size of Texas.
Backstabbing
this. They talk about that one. They complain about this. So who's the better? Right. I don't know what you call it. Universal, godly being, a person, human. Who's the better protege? The person who does that, or the person who doesn't do any of that religious or box stuff, but still, like, goes around helping people, loving, caring, like, pure heart, pure mind. I don't know. That's me, guys. That's how I see it. That's how I mean, Henry. Sounds like Henry. Yeah, agrees.
I agree. Yeah. I would say 100%.
Yeah. So,
and I have my own spin on it, my own flavor.
Yeah. So whatever, man. So doesn't matter if the person does or doesn't. Yeah, don't get hung up. It's so we don't judge each other. There's no judgment. There's no judgment. There's no judgment.
Nobody's better.
Nobody's better. Nobody's worse. I like to bring the similarities between the two to show you that as long as your heart is pure and you listen to your heart, if you want to pray, you're going to get a clearer message. If it's meditation and it works for you to manifest through meditation and you get that clearer message, your inner voice, that intuition comes up and you hear it that way, mission accomplished.
Yeah, and you'll feel it.
Yep.
You'll feel it.
All right.
My peeps.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
You got the best of us.
Today was a long day.
No, it's good.
Yeah. Cool beans. Allora, ci vediamo.
Alla prossima.
Alla prossima. Ciao. Ciao for now.
Ciao. Buonasera a tutti.
Buonasera.
Chiudiamo il programma oggi.
You know what he just said about you? You don't want to know. All right. Thank you, everybody. We had a great time. I hope you did too. If not, I'm sorry, but we had a great time. And we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Peace. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.